So today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 best NBA offseason investments to make. As you guys know, the NBA Finals are about to start, and after the NBA Finals, there comes an offseason period where you see a lot of price movement, surprisingly. In some cases, even more movement in the offseason than during the season. In some cases, at least upward trajectory and players that had a great year. So without further ado, we're going to hop right into the video. So the first player on our list is going to be Tyrese Maxey. Now, Tyrese Maxey is going to be a free agent, and a lot of his cards right now, I think, are due for a massive bump. If you look at other counterparts of guys who took that next leap, such as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you can see that their markets are way more established than Tyrese Maxey's market. For example, if you look at a vertical flawless RPA, you can get a Ruby PSA 10 for $3,500 for Maxey, $1,500 raw. And if you look at the same cards for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has had a little bit more experience in the league, and of course, he has had, that big offseason bump after last year, which kind of changed the whole trajectory for his market. But if you look at someone like him, you can see his true flawless verticals in a 9.5, or around a $12,000 card. A lot of his true verticals have been really seeing a significant increase in price. Not only that, just across the board, if you look at market cap of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he is one guy who I think had one of those massive offseason jumps last offseason, and I think, I wouldn't say we're quite going to see the same with Tyrese Maxey, because I think it's still a little bit tricky, his position, until Joel Embiid is off the team, or until, it's clear that Maxey is going to be the number one on the team. But I do see something to that extent happening, with Tyrese Maxey's, off-season market. He's going to likely get a big new contract, likely a max contract. He's probably going to get paid hundreds of millions of dollars. When people see a franchise is investing that type of money into a young star, there tends to be a jump in the offseason over that player's cards. There's still a lot of cards of his that I think are very undervalued compared to a lot of other young stars. So Maxey, in my opinion, this offseason is a buy. Now, next up on the list, we're going to go with Donovan Mitchell. Now, Donovan Mitchell has been a little bit out of the spotlight recently. He didn't have... he's had good years, but it's kind of reached the point where people don't really see him taking that next step into superstar level. And I believe that is simply because the team he is on, it is very tough for him to show his true potential when he's playing alongside Darius Garland and the other players he's playing with in Cleveland. However, I do believe that Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell will be moved off the Cavs this offseason, and that is going to cause a massive hype in Mitchell's market, in my personal opinion. If he gets moved, I think that could be amazing for his market. He's clearly got the game. I just think he hasn't been in the right position, and sometimes all it takes is someone to, get into a fresh position, to have another opportunity on either a different team or change up your surroundings, change up the players on your team, and I think Mitchell can truly reach his full potential. I think Mitchell's still, the same draft class as a lot of other stars we consider young stars, such as Jason Tatum, same draft class. And I just think Donovan Mitchell right now at his current prices, it's just criminally undervalued in my personal opinion. For the amount of money people are throwing at other young stars, even guys like Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that whole draft class is only a year after Donovan Mitchell's draft class. And there's a lower population on 2017 cards. So there's a lot more upside in Mitchell's market, in my personal opinion. I think based on his current prices, he could be a real offseason play, especially if he gets moved to another team. I think his cards have a real runway, to go up in price this offseason. Now, without further ado, we're going to hop right into our next pick, and that is going to be Jalen Brunson. Now, Jalen Brunson had a massive breakout year. First of all, he plays for the New York Knicks, and if you guys know anything about the New York Knicks, their fan base is extremely strong and passionate. One of the biggest fan bases in all of sports. Just playing in the Big Apple, and being the clear number one young star for a team. I know he isn't quite as young as some other young stars that we've been talking about, but Jalen Brunson, I still think, based on his current prices, being such a small fraction of all these other young stars, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, even Trae Young, Luka Doncic, I just think his cards right now are set for a massive offseason bump. If you just look at how, the prices you can find for his most coveted rookie cards, I just think his cards are due for a massive bump. You can get some of his most coveted rookie cards for a couple $100 up to $1,000. And I just think when you compare that across the board to other stars that I think are in his kind of caliber, I just think Brunson's criminally undervalued. They had a great run this year, and I just think next year, if they can stay healthy, they're a real contender in the Eastern Conference, and I think a lot of people do see that. So I think right now where his current prices are at, I don't see much downside. I see a lot of upside in the short term leading into next season. I think Brunson's going to be one of the hottest players in the basketball card market coming off of this year. Him being one of the main breakout stars along with Anthony Edwards. I think his cards are set up really well. Now, next up on the list, we are going to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's a player who, of course, has won multiple MVPs. He is won a championship, finals MVP. He's got a lot of accolades, and he's still in his prime. However, he's had pretty horrible injury luck these past couple years. This past two postseasons, the Bucks have not been a contender because Giannis hasn't been able to stay healthy. And I think that is causing a very, very good buying opportunity in his card market right now because he's still one of the faces of the league. He's still, fairly young. He's still in his prime. The Bucks, I believe, are still a contending team in the wide open Eastern Conference. I don't believe the Eastern Conference is particularly tough like the Western Conference. And I just think where his current prices are at, there is a lot of upside. If you look at how low some of his cards have gotten, some of his most coveted rookie cards, a PSA 10 select rookie card, he didn't have so many different parallels in 2013. This is one of his main cards, and it's a $280 card in a PSA 10. I just believe a lot of his cards right now are criminally undervalued. You can get some of his numbered RPAs out of 99 for just $800 for a star like Giannis. I think this offseason, his cards are going to really correct, and leading into next year, I think his cards are going to see a massive bump. Just based off how low his cards have gotten, how big of a sell-off has happened, I believe a correction is due in the positive way, which means I believe his cards are underpriced right now and are going to be properly priced before the season, and I believe that's going to lead to a big bump in his prices. Now, next up on the list, we're going to go with the NBA MVP Nikola Jokic. His card market is currently having a big sell-off as well. Of course, he won another MVP, which is absolutely insane. He's already got a finals MVP. He is going to be one of the faces of the league. In my opinion, he's going to be contending for championships every single year. That him, Porter, and Jamal Murray are healthy, along with Aaron Gordon, of course. But if you just look at some of his cards, for a multiple-time MVP, for a guy who's already won a championship at still a fairly young age, and a team who's still up there contending in the West every year, I think overall his cards are just sitting at very, very low levels. There's so many young stars that still outsell Nikola Jokic. You can get a lot of his cards for fairly reasonable prices, and I think this offseason, we're going to see a lot of hype leading into next year again about the Nuggets. And if he's able to win another championship, if he's able to win another MVP, you could start to put him up there with conversations of, potentially becoming one of the all-time great big men in the league, in history. If you look at guys like Shaq, if you look at guys like Hakeem, Kareem, you can see their accolades, and you can see Nikola Jokic's projections if he continues at this rate. And I personally believe he could very well be up there. Potentially one of the greatest Europeans to ever play the game, one of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest big men of all time. And if you look at where his current prices are, I think people are going to start to see that later this offseason leading into next year. Right now, it's just a panic short-term sell-off because they lost in the playoffs to the Timberwolves. But I think overall, this offseason, his cards are positioned to do extremely well, and there's going to be a lot of people buying him leading into next year. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like. I would really appreciate it if you guys could show support. We're on our way to 50,000 subscribers. But other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.